Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Joined here with Monte. Fine morning here in Chicago. Hope you guys are having a good week. It is Friday. We have made it to the final day of the week before the weekend's here. And, equity's bouncing back. We saw the equity put call ratio hit 1.3, highest of the year a couple days ago. Ever since, we've really squeezed a lot of those shorts out. Dollar has come back a little bit. And crypto has actually shown some decent, relative strength. So looking forward to checking out all that stuff and a lot to break down today and more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a great way to support the show if you like the content today. But Monte, anything you'd like to jump into or anything you just thinking about this morning?
Oh, I'm thinking about a lot, CJ. I'm thinking about a lot. But in terms of markets, there's some stuff we can start off with. And I want to start off with the traditional equity side and then segue into crypto. I think that that will be a kind of the best way to explain what we're seeing here today in terms of price action. But first and foremost, happy Friday to everyone. What's up to all in the chat? Keith, UIC Now, Ross, good to see you all. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ because this is what we're seeing here on the market open. Nice move to the upside, nice gap up. Looked like we were about to retrace it in the first 15 minutes, but then continued to grind higher. Now hitting a little bit of resistance. We're not quite at 14.92 yet, but the level I am kind of targeting for today is up here at 970. That's kind of where this gap, if we add this gaps indicator.
We are selling a little bit here. The board is twinkling.
Yeah, we are. Yep, seeing some sell pressure come in, but I think this gap here could plausibly be filled today, and if it does, I think that really sets up Bitcoin and crypto in general for a good weekend. That being said, it's a little bit discouraging to see Bitcoin down almost 1% when we're having NASDAQ strength. We'll talk about that in a bit, but overall, this is my target. It's about 14,970 for the NASDAQ. That would coincide with this gap here. I think we come up and fill this gap. Do we maintain that? That may be a different story, but like CJ pointed out, we are seeing some sell pressure hit the board here as we speak. So that's what I'm seeing in the NASDAQ. That's kind of my target. And I think if we can hit this level with some momentum to end the day, that would really bode well for crypto heading into the weekend, and is kind of what I want to see in order for Bitcoin and ETH and that ETH BTC trade I'm in to really show some signs of risk on price action. Because think about it, we got the NASDAQ up basically twice ES. Whenever you see that, you expect the market to be risk on, and that's generally good for crypto. Not so much today. What do you make of, this kind of broad market price action that we're seeing here today, CJ?
Well, I thought you did a really nice breakdown of, the equities. We're going to have to see where we end up closing ultimately today, but the crypto currency, some of the stuff that we've talked about, and that was coming up of the highest relative trading volume on the Trade the Chain dashboard. I want to go over those just very briefly. And because I think some of those may have topped, even though we did have quite a vicious pump into the Asian session following yesterday's episode of Trading Rebellion, where I talked about some of those shorts. And you definitely, I was thinking about what you said all last night. You're like, oh, greedy. Crypto traders are greedy, are they? And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, you asked me to play devil's advocate, and I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's always just about how the risks managed and how much you can withstand, I think. But taking a look at relative trading volume, something that was interesting that we saw a few days back was Luna, kind of looked at fading that pump. So I do want to bring up Luna and just show that chart because I think it's probably now a decent time to probably take profit. But we've seen this altcoin rotation where you've had small caps, things like Comp. One day, it fills up Lido one day, and then are we going to have continuation from this point? It's hard to say yet, but fading the initial move seems to be a pretty interesting trade at least so far. Band protocol was one that hit sentiment levels that were very like high at the local high, and so I'm thinking, maybe if you start seeing weakness into that positive sentiment, maybe I actually might start doing the opposite of sometimes what we've seen, or at least thinking about probate. Um, Glimmer or Noobie is another one that actually was just added to Bing X this week. So I was actually able to trade it. Didn't make any trades, but it's another one that I think qualifies as that. You get the short pump, and then there really hasn't been any follow through, and you might see some mean reversion to like the 20 cent level. But the ones that I'm looking at, like I think this is a very very decent chance we've topped here in like that's trend weakness, at least in the short term. But we'll see. Those are the altcoins I've been looking at in terms of like shorts, but ultimately we'll see how we close the day. Interesting to see the sell-off continuing and creating new lows in bean oil. So nothing really to update there. Just something that I noticed this morning is that we were only up about 40 basis points or 30 basis points when, the NASDAQ and other risk assets were really rallying. Soybean oil just could not rally or get really any strength. So that was just kind of a good indication of weakness, in my opinion. I guess gold really isn't bouncing back. Tried to this morning, but selling off once more here. TLT and ZN. See, like this is actually a time where if you wanted to buy TLT, that's totally cool. That's fine now, in my opinion. Forget about whether the idea is right or not. It's just the idea that you have, or the concept that you have defined risk. You have a place where you're wrong now. That's very clear on the 10-year. Going on for a while. I'll wrap it up soon. Cocoa, hopefully we make some new lows today. We'll see. But selling off into the weekend, at least in the short term. A lot of rapid fire stuff there. Anything stand out to you?
I mean, a lot stands out to me. That heating oil trade, I think, is a good one if you got in on that one early. But one thing that is kind of been a major part of my analysis this week, and kind of going back to the comparing the NASDAQ with the S&P, I think you can make a good argument for a comparison between the NASDAQ and the S&P's relationship and Bitcoin and Ethereum's relationship. Wherein Bitcoin is like the S&P, a little bit less risky, a little bit slower moving, and the NASDAQ is more risk on and tends to move a bit quicker. And one thing that you'll notice if you look at the Trade the Chain dashboard is that, just like with the NASDAQ and the S&P, ETH is up 1.89% over the last 24 hours. Its daily sentiment is 76 out of 100. Bitcoin's only up 0.62% with sentiment of 68 out of 100. Not bad, but still, ETH looks so much stronger. And jumping over to the ETH BTC chart, this is something we've been talking a lot about. This is a trade that I'm in, full disclosure. But I continue to ride this one upwards. I think that the top of the wedge is the target for this trade. So for those of you that are wondering, am I too late? Did I miss this move? It's already above this critical level and it's ripping to the upside today. I would say to you, no, you're not, because as I just showcased from the Trade the Chain dashboard, sentiment is strong for ETH, stronger than it is for Bitcoin. Not only that, but again, I'm broken record. One of the few indicators that is a leading indicator is volume. We already are basically matching yesterday's volume, which was a significant amount of volume in the ETH BTC pair. And there's still 10 hours left to go in today's candle. So I expect this to keep running. There might be a slight bit of pullback or resistance around this level here, kind of where we consolidated during the month of August and into the beginning of September. but I still think we reach the top of this range, maybe get a little bit of overextension, and then we pull back. So this for me, like if you haven't entered this trade yet, I think today could still be a great day to enter it. You know, like people always worry about like, oh, I'm late to the party. But like again, like to CJ's point, you have clearly defined risk. If it breaks down below this wedge, cut it. Or even if it, I would say, even if it like closes, close to the top of any of these candles, you could consider cutting it. And your upside potential is pretty significant. And with this strength heading into the weekend, I expect to see continuation. So this is the major trade I'm in right now. And yeah, also this news, ETH ETF approval. That is right now definitely driving the price of ETH higher. But one thing that we discussed yesterday, that sort of buy the rumor, sell the news event. Okay, we've had the rumor all week of that ETF approval. Now, this morning, we get the news that it's approved. Does ETH start to sell off? I think that's a valid question to ask, but I think there is going to be a bit more continuation on the back of this news before it starts to fade. So I think maybe, 2 to 3 more days of positive price action for ETH on the back of that news. And then it becomes that sort of buy the rumor, sell the news type event. And we see the ETH BTC pair start to pull back into that wedge. So that's the major trade that I'm in heading into the weekend. That's where, I'm in that. ZL is the other one that I'm in. And besides that, just my HODL stacks of Bitcoin and ETH. But the ETH BTC pair has been working well for me, and I'm going to continue to ride this one to the top of that wedge. And like I said, I don't think the move is over yet, so keep that in mind.
Appreciate that analysis. Looking through the comments, Ape had a nice move. I was taking a look at the Ape coin chart. It's actually one of the worst projects I think I've ever seen. And that's
saying a lot when you're talking about crypto. Oh, man.
I mean, look, I guess the one positive is like it didn't go straight to zero, but even if it did go straight to zero in a night like Luna, at least it puts you out of your misery, quickly. This is like torturous.
That's a slow death. You're bleeding out.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, remember when the airdrop, we traded around the airdrop around like $20, and now we're at $1. So,
wow.
But yeah, an interesting squeeze yesterday. It's like I have to look at a microscope in order to see it.
What are these candles for ants?
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, if I go on the 15-minute UIC now, nice double top. That's what you like to look for in the higher time frames. Yeah, I don't know. Tough place to really get in intraday or to short. I think if I was in shorts or if I would just be kind of holding. I do think on the daily, though, there are some interesting assets that are beginning to break or have broken.
Give us some examples.
I kind of already went over them earlier in the show. I mean, it's mainly the ones I talked about. On Trading Rebellion, it's kind of that pattern where you have like one day of flush out of all of the inverse investments in these various altcoins. They all look very similar. Some of these will likely have continuation, others probably will not. But World could be an interesting. It could give back a lot. I'll put it that way, just based on how it's grinded up this week. But yeah, comp.
Yeah, comp Maker.
Band is probably another one. Is Maker still going up? Let's see.
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice reversal candle.
Right.
I could mark the top for Maker there. That would be a place, like if you were going to sell it over the last week and a half, this is the best setup to sell it into, in my opinion.
And one thing also that I noticed with Maker is that the sentiment is coming down a little bit. the sentiment was strong earlier in the week, and now it's starting to turn back. So I don't know. I think you're right from like a charting perspective. You're not going to get a much cleaner reversal formation, and like that thing is deviated from that moving average quite significantly, and it's due for a retrace.
Yeah, we'll see.
But here's what the sentiment looks like on that. If you don't mind me showing it real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
do think Sol is still looking.
Sol as well. Wait, what did you say about it? Sorry.
I'm saying it hasn't really sold off or anything. It's actually
one
of the only resilient alts that I can really see on my list here.
Yeah, I think that has to do with the fact that everyone was shorting it on the thesis that FTX is going to sell a bunch of coins and it's going to plummet price. They shorted it on the back of that, and it didn't happen. But look at this, how we had this peak in sentiment, and it's everywhere I look, I see Livermore accumulation channels, and I see the 12 point.
That's that sounds like a hip hop lyric.
It does. I feel like P. Diddy or Puff Daddy.
Did you say that to me one time? What if hip hop rappers, or what if they just bragged about buying the bottom instead of their Lambos and stuff?
Yeah, seriously. Why is there no rapper? That's a niche that needs to be filled. Like, that's a real flex, is like buying the bottom. But anyway, enough of that. You can see that the sentiment peaked here on September 27th at around 5 o'clock with a sentiment score of 86. We haven't been able to come anywhere close to those levels, even though prices can continue to grind higher. This sort of deviation is what I look for when I'm looking to short an asset. This, in conjunction with CJ's analysis of the chart, I think is everything you need to know about what could happen with Maker this weekend. And because of that, I think I'm going to be creating a pairs trade where I'll be shorting Maker via the BTC pair. I think that is a very valid trade given what we're seeing from sentiment, given what we're seeing from the technicals, and also given what we're seeing from both Maker and Bitcoin as well. So that's another trade. Perhaps I'll post it in the Discord. But yeah, I think that is a favorable looking trade.
Yeah, Maker and Link just been really the strongest in terms of relative strength. I'm still waiting for Link to turn around. It hasn't yet, though. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We should talk about crypto equities a bit, considering the show title is that they are back. They were back as of yesterday. Coin had a really nice day.
Yeah, it's not having a horrible day today either. I mean, it's got to get above that moving average for me to be a buyer. What about you? I know you're already in it, but if it broke above that moving average, would you add to your position? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, well,
that sounds like a no.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have quite a bit, so it's all right. It's not going to run away on me, and I'm not going to be upset if I don't add more. Yeah, it's basically my long-term plan with Coin is I've got a decent amount accumulated from these levels, and if we have, let's say, a credit event or some type of black swan similar to 2020 where the market becomes so reflexive that it literally breaks to the point where the Fed has to step in and inject liquidity. If we have a liquidity crisis or something like that and we have much lower prices, I still will have some capital, or I'll just margin the existing shares that I have to buy more if we start bouncing from like some of these lower levels or these accumulation levels. And if we don't pick up by February of next year, like if the crypto market, if it doesn't start picking up and we still just have really I might have to reconsider the whole 4-year cycle thesis and look for just other alternative investments. Although I find it hard to imagine coin not reaching at least 50 billion at some point. But regardless, the plan, reassess things in terms of February. I think when you think about cycle long-term views and being disciplined, it's just as much as about time as it is about price. Time almost shakes people out more than price. Price is like, it hasn't gone anywhere in over a year. People are more depressed than they were a year ago, which, it makes sense. But overall, let's go back to the fact that throughout 2003 to 2013, Fidelity's best performing retail clients were those of deceased individuals or inactive accounts or people who forgot that they had brokerage accounts. So if you ever are worried that you're looking for a better strategy, just like, there is power in doing nothing, a lot.
So you need one of those like Men in Black, memory erasers. Just, I don't even know what positions I'm in. Oh man. Well, yeah, I think we're setting up for an interesting weekend here and an interesting Friday for sure. So, as always, CJ and I will be hanging out in the Discord, and if you haven't yet, definitely head over to tradethechain.com.
Hey, before you end the show, congrats to the TLT Bulls. I'm glad we're up over 1% today. Let's do it. Let's run it back. 20%. This is the low. All right. Just kidding. Okay.
Hey, I hope it is. I hope it is, for your sake and for the rest of the TLT Bulls. I hope it is. But anyways, definitely head over to tradethechain.com. Check out our 14-day free trial. You can try it absolutely free for 14 days. That includes a sentiment dashboard that we showcase during the show. Also, you get access to a Discord community with a community of traders from all around the world. It's me, CJ, Nick, Alex, and a bunch of other really bright minds that share their insights and ask questions. And we're more than happy to to discuss with you guys in Discord. So definitely head over there and check that out. And if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe, because it really helps out this channel and gets more eyes on our videos, which we really appreciate. But that is all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Happy trading. Have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you again on Monday at the same time. Take care and have a great weekend.